My friends, what I have here is the most expensive military tent in the world. This tent weighs 57 pounds. The cost of this is $4,300. And I will tell you this much, it is a beast. Inside of this bag here is the Light Fighter Dragoon. This is a next generation of military shelter, and it was designed for all season use, including expeditions. Shortly after my news episode went up concerning this tent, I heard from the company, and here we are today. I have a review unit. Now, it needs to be mentioned that I do not get to keep this tent, and the opinions and experiences that I share in this episode and in future episodes are mine alone. The storage bag for this tent is this roller bag. Think of this as a large deployment bag. It has wheels on the back, tons of handles all over the place. It is very much like a duffel bag. Check this feature out. Inside of here, you have a harness system, so you can wear this like a backpack. Yes, my friends, it even has a handle, so you can roll it around. Which is something that you will have to do because this tent weighs 57 pounds. Let's go ahead and open this up real quick. You have two compression straps on the front, a Velcro pocket here with some setup instructions. It opens up just like so. You have guy lines, tent stakes. Inside of here, you have tent poles. Oh my gosh. Wow. Everyone, they are incredibly heavy. Oh, that's nuts. That is nuts. What we have here, I believe, is a ground sheet. We'll confirm that in just a moment. The rest of this is the tent. Before I go to the tent, let's take a look here at the tent stakes. Wow. Oh. These are insane. I've never seen stakes like this before. They are incredibly macho. I'm impressed, I really am. Let's take a look at the guy lines now. They look pretty insane too, wow. That's impressive. This is Dynama cordage. Exceptionally strong stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and pull out the tent body here. Gosh almighty. It is big and it is heavy. With this storage bag, this is also a deployment bag. As you can see here, this end extends out. Now that we've taken a look at the tent stakes, let's take a look here at these poles. Good grief. They are crazy. Okay, so we have some smaller poles, which are more typical. Check these out. The main poles for this tent, they are incredible. Those are without a doubt the biggest, thickest tent poles that I've ever seen. I am going to take some time and set this up, and I will bring you all back when I'm done. Before I do though, let's check in this bag here and see what this is. These are snow anchors. This is not a ground sheet. So no ground sheet is included, but you do get some snow anchors. I've started putting together the poles here and they are incredible. I mean, they are so big. Not only the thickness, but the length of these. As you all can see, The Dragoon has been set up. Take a look at the size of this tent. It is massive. Very, very impressive. Now that I have the tent set up, let's go over the features. Now you can see here, this is a very large size vent. I didn't insert the pole on this one so you can see what it looks like when it's down. You have this strap here so that you could fully secure it. That way in strong winds, it's not an issue. This is what the vent looks like when you have a pole inserted. So with this tent, you have 4 of these vents at the top. Now I want you all to pay attention to these black panels. Every single one of these is a door. At the same time, it's also a huge vent. Check this out. Door number 1. Door number 2. In front of each of these doors, you have mesh. That way you can keep the bugs out. That means that this tent has an internal fly. And again, everyone, this tent has 8 of these. Those are the doors. I'll show you the vents. So there's a look at 2 of the doors. You can roll it up and stow it at the top and the bottom. That is a ton of mesh. Now, speaking of which, every single one of these doors is a vent. Then you have the vents that go around the body. And again, you have 4 of those. Each one of these can be unzipped for maximum ventilation. When you're looking at the body, you may be wondering what these are. Those are ventilation ducts for HVAC. Up above those, you have additional vents. Now this is a very important feature right here. This is the stove jack port. That's right, you can use this as a hot tent. Next, everyone, I want you all to focus on the floor here. The floor is removable. You have countless buckles that attach the floor to the body. As you can see here, here's the ground, the grass. When you get this tent set up, you have to go around pulling each one of those buckles tight to secure the floor. That way no bugs will get inside of the tent. Going back to the outside of the tent, there's a few things I want to show you all. You can see these pockets here. For every other pole, you have these pockets, and you have 2 of them. Inside of this, you have guy lines. Here's an outside look of the HVAC port. Additional guy lines. And in a nutshell, everyone, that is the Dragoon tent. Before I go over my thoughts and impressions of this tent so far, let's go over some stats real quick. This is an 8-person tent. It has 8 doors. It is freestanding. It is a 4-season tent. The dimensions, it is 77 inches tall, 157.5 inches wide and long. When it's packed up, you're looking at 30 inches by 17 inches by 16 inches. When it comes to the materials, the tent body is made from a 70 denier ripstop nylon that features a 5,000 millimeter hydrostatic head rating. It also features a waterproof urethane coating along with a DWR finish. The vents are made from a 40 denier nylon, no CM mesh. The floor, the reinforced points, and the sleeves are constructed from a 210 denier Oxford nylon that features a 5,000 millimeter hydrostatic head rating. Lightfighter states this is an all-season expeditionary tent. It features a geodesic dome design, and it is capable of withstanding strong winds, heavy rain, and accumulating snow. If you purchase this tent, this is what you receive. The tent itself, 2 center poles, 4 side poles, 4 vent poles, 16 Dyneema guy lines. Those are attached. You receive 4 additional guy lines, again, made from Dyneema. You receive 8 snow and sand parachute stakes. You receive 20 of those massive tent stakes, and you receive the rolling bag. Now everyone, I want to take a few seconds and talk about a few things. So I've been speaking of this tent so far as being made for the military. It is also available to the civilian market. That's where you can buy it for $4,300 if you want to. In the news episode I did about this tent, I had a few questions. There were a few things that I pointed out that I needed clarification on, and I did get clarification. One of the big questions that I had for this tent was whether or not this was being used by military forces, because I couldn't find any sort of NSN number concerning this tent. Lightfighter has clarified these points, and I can tell you this. This is a military tent. Right now, it is awaiting an NSN number, and it is in use with military forces around the world right now. In that news episode, I spoke of the photos that the company uses on their website, and I said they look like really poor quality Photoshop. Those photos are not Photoshop. They were taken with a potato camera, but they are real. They are legit. Those are pictures of real soldiers using this tent. So Light Fighter claims that this is being used with Tier 1 units all around the world. It is a commercial off-the-shelf COT COTS item. The tents that are available to the civilian market are overages of this COTS contract. And with that right there, I'm ready to share with you all my impressions of this tent so far. So first off, when it comes to the size of this thing, it is massive. It is massive. This was something that I spoke of during that news episode. The limited pictures that Light Fighter had on their site at the time, you could not judge the scale. You couldn't judge the size of this tent. With me standing next to this tent, you certainly can. This is a massive tent. Yes, it is a true 8-person tent. 8 people plus their gear can easily fit inside of this tent. The setup process is not that difficult, but it is time consuming. It took me roughly 40 minutes to get this set up, but it's my first time setting it up. One person, I believe, can get this set up in about 30 minutes. That's in calm conditions. In windy conditions, I wouldn't want to set it up. I would not want to set this up by myself in windy conditions. No way. I have to say this, because the materials are so burly, they're so heavy, getting this set up initially with those 2 long poles is difficult. It takes quite a bit of strength to pull up the materials and the poles themselves to get them seated. You can certainly do it, but it does take a little bit of muscle. I've had the privilege of using just about every military tent out on the market, including the rare stuff used by Special Forces, Navy SEALs, and so on. And I can tell you that the overall setup of this, it's not bad at all, not really. A group of soldiers can get this set up with ease. As far as the materials go, they are top notch. A 70 denier ripstop nylon with the poles, the stakes, the guy lines. It's easy to tell that this tent was built for strength. The overall geodesic design, it is made to handle strong winds, heavy snow loading, and more. As far as the quality goes of this tent, I'm very impressed. I looked this over rather closely and I saw no loose threads, nothing like that. You can see that attention to detail has been made with this tent. And that's what you would expect, not only for the price, but also for the men and women who are serving who are going to use this. We have to talk about the size and the weight of this tent because it is something that you have to consider very carefully. First off, we all know that most people are not going to go out and buy this tent. The civilians that do, more than likely are going to be well-off hunters. This is going to make an excellent hunting tent. I can see resorts purchasing this and using it for certain outings, namely hunting and whatnot. For those who are considering this tent, they need to consider the size and the weight of this. For one person, the size and the weight is going to be an issue when it comes to maneuvering this and setting it up. When it comes to groups, it's going to be a whole lot easier. This is, without a doubt, a tent that you throw in the back of the truck, you drive in and you set it up. Or you take it out of the truck, you put it onto the ATV, and you head up into the mountains. You're not going to roll this thing very far with that case, and you're certainly not going to carry it very far. Something else that you need to consider with a tent of this size, let's say that you take it out for a rain trip, everything gets wet. You have to take this thing home. You have to set it up and dry it out. For some people, that is not going to be easy to do. For myself, that's going to be extremely difficult. I do not have the space inside of my house to set this up. I do not have a garage or anything like that. It's bigger than my deck. I'm not even sure if I have enough space in my yard to set this up, to be honest. Seriously, folks, I would have to mow back the bushes and flatten out my yard to get this thing to fit. It's that big. When I requested a review sample from Light Fighter, I knew the tent was going to be big, but I didn't expect it to be this large. It's one thing to see the measurements on paper, it's something completely different to see it in person. There's one more thing that I would like to speak about in regards to Light Fighter. I mentioned in the news episode that I reached out to the company, but I didn't receive a response. The individual that I contacted at the company was no longer there with the company. They have moved on. So that contact email that I used was no longer valid. Light Fighter was definitely concerned with the fact that I couldn't reach the company because they pride themselves in their communication with their customers. So without a doubt, it was my fault. I contacted an invalid email. They did nothing wrong. They did not receive that message. Anyways, folks, that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. That is the Light Fighter Dragoon tent. Make sure to comment down below, share your thoughts. What do you all think about this? This tent is a monster. It's insane in every single way. Size, weight, capability, the materials, those tent stakes. I've never seen anything like that before. The tent poles, the thickest I've ever seen. I am super impressed with this tent, but I can tell you this much, this is not a tent for me. It's simply way too big, it's too much to handle, it's too much to manage, it's too much material to dry. While you're watching this on your phone and your TV, you cannot gauge the size of this tent. It is massive. By the way, everyone, if you haven't heard of Lightfighter before, they make a wide range of products. Some of them are ingenious. The Lightfighter one-person tent, two-person tent, along with the cold weather kit, it's incredible. It really is. It's the best military shelter out on the market today, and civilians can buy them. It really is very impressive. Make sure to check out my review of both of those kits if you haven't already. Now it's your turn to sound off in the comments down below. What do you all think about the Dragoon tent? Thank you very much for watching this episode. On to the next. Strength and honor. Bye for now.